to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Okay, welcome back to the RunRX podcast. This is one of probably my favorite conversations we have because we've posted this on the Instagram before, where you're doing pulls or you're doing pull skips. And I've said before, stop doing high knees and butt kicks, right? Please stop it. Don't do it anymore. And I want Valerie to explain to you why. Why do you not want me to do high knees and butt kicks?
Okay, well, so high knees and butt kicks are probably the oldest running drill.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. And then if you would stop to ask the coach, why do we do high knees and butt kicks? It's just kind of fun to see what kind of answers you get. Well, the reason people do high knees and butt kicks is for warming up, right? The warm-up exercise of a high knee and a butt kick, ideally for running, were thought to be for warming up the hip flexor, warming up the hamstring, and then muscle elasticity.
Okay.
So in 100%, by the way, they do that. However, here's the problem. Neither one of those exercises are the correct movement for running. So why include a drill that reinforces a movement that's unnecessary? High knees reinforced using the hip flexor, and they talk about the knee. When I say the word knee, so high knees, well, then I'm going to try to lift my knee as high as I can.
Correct.
Well, in running, we would like the knee to always be facing down.
Right.
Because we want the hamstring.
It's almost 45 degrees, sort of.
Yeah, so you want the hamstring to be working.
Okay.
So immediately, and again, we said this earlier, we forget about our feet until they hurt.
Right.
What is actually connected to the ground is the foot.
Correct.
So if I'm going to ask my runner to pull their foot up from the ground, yet I have them warm up with a high knee or a butt kick, then it makes no sense to even say the word pull.
Right, which is where, and we'll link to it in the show notes, where you do a drill where you're literally kind of pulling in sort of not, what would you call them? They're not high knees. So what do you call them? Just running pulls? Pulls. Okay, yeah, sure. So it's a pulling drill she does. And actually, I love another drill we'll point to that is my favorite drill. It's basically how I run. I think you call it the 10, when we do 10, you do one pull and you go.
It's a
single leg pull. So we do 10, 9, 8. It's so much fun.
It's what it is.
Right.
So if the gait cycle is pose, fall, pull, then why would I add an exercise that wasn't going to help me pull? And there's not a pull exercise other than pulling. And here's the thing. Why are we using the word pull? Well, because when Dr. Romanoff was first studying the running itself, and everyone in running uses what's called push-off. It's very accepted to use push-off. So people do push-off, so then they do butt kicks because they think that's going to help with their push-off, and then they do high knees because they think that's going to help them to reach. So both the push and the reach are being reinforced.
Right. We mentioned that off podcast. You mentioned that we're finding that those are like the biggest problems people have. They reach, they push, they lean over instead of keeping themselves erect. And then they what I call marching is bringing that knee up in an attempt to push.
Right.
And that's wrong.
Right. So they've been using the ground to push off, thinking it's going to extend their body forward.
Right.
So we have to, again, it goes back to that mindset as well, that we're actually staying still.
Yeah. You're not. You're either moving straight up.
And if you think about pushing, so pushing is an extension. It's pressing into the ground. It's extending the knee. It loads the calf. It loads the hamstring. However, it makes the runner feel really powerful. I'm pushing. And so all of a sudden, we tell you to pull because it's the opposite of push.
Right.
Like we're changing your mindset while we change your movement. And all of a sudden, like a butt kick loads the hamstring. It's like putting a 30-pound weight on my ankle and loading my hamstring. Well, who wants to put a 30-pound weight on to go run 1,500 steps a mile?
Right.
Think about that.
Well, and people, I know, like I've had coaches before say things like that. The butt kick is to help you, it's almost like a kickback. It's like you're kicking. Part of the gait cycle is that you're going to, put that high knee up, land it down, and then you're going to kick it back. That's what's going to move you forward. But the whole premise of truly running correctly is that you're not going to land and kick back anything. You're actually just going to fall, guys. You're actually just going to let yourself fall, and then you're going to pull in response to that fall. As soon as you feel yourself fall, you pull.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like it goes into if we all really understand we live in a gravitational force and the earth is always spinning.
Right.
This is what we have to think about. So when you actually are running, you are on the ground with your foot. You're falling forward. It's already happening. The fall is already happening. You already actually do it. You just don't realize it.
Correct. Yeah.
And then if I start to pull my foot up, you're reducing that load by 50%. It's huge. And if you start to think differently that way, think more about how do you travel and running? So start thinking about that. You travel when both feet are in the air.
Right.
We just can't feel that. And because we can't feel it, then people really think, well, if I want to spend more time in the air, I need to kind of jump.
Yeah.
That's traditionally what we're doing.
Or leap forward. Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, neither one of those are going to help you. They actually take you up and down.
Right. Think about that, guys. If I'm going to leap forward, if I'm going to stay stationary, I'm going to push myself into the ground, and then I'm going to try to propel myself forward. How do I stop? I stop by landing on that foot hard. That's the impact. And that impact, that reach is what's causing the shin to hurt. I do that once, it hurts my shin. I do it again, it starts hurting my knee. I do it another mile, it starts hurting my hip. That is where that pain comes from, is that you are stopping your forward momentum. And it's because you, rather than falling and letting your feet just move underneath you very, very quickly. It's almost like when I watch you actually run, it is that gait cycle. But if you look, the feet are staying, she's just pulling and replacing the other foot. Mm-hmm. If you could imagine, I would almost love to be like hanging from, say, a rafter, right? And you just get to run. How do I run along in a rafter or in space, right? I wouldn't be, well, maybe I would be jumping in space. That was a bad analogy. Yeah.
Well, no, but it's a great thought though. But even so, in space, you would be jumping up.
Right.
If you start to remember that, honestly, it's an up and down thing we're doing. We're allowing our body to fall forward. Our foot pulls up. And what starts to happen is, it's a lot of fun, guys, if you let go of landing. But you're right. It's something we've done all of our lives.
Yeah.
And without thinking about it. And so now I'm going to start to think about it. And then you'll start to see, well, if I do a high knee, then my shoulders are behind my head.
Right.
Oh, if I do a butt kick, I'm bending over.
You're bending over.
So you're already taking your body out of balance.
And if you really, really look at a runner, you will never see their heel come to their butt.
Correct.
It never, guys, watch it. It will never come to your butt. Now, I just thought of something. If you've ever, again, back to swimming, we love to talk about triathletes. There's an exercise that a lot of people do where they'll put on a belt so that they can stay upright in a pool. And it's an exercise where you run in the pool. And actually, the only way you can run forward in a pool is to press your hips forward and not reach your leg out, because that's just going to slow you down. You have to keep your feet under you and pushing. I say pushing, but you're actually just moving yourself forward with your hips. So that's really actually a good analogy for how you should be. Don't run in space, run in the pool.
And water running is like the number one when a runner gets injured.
Right.
They throw them in the water to offset the gravity and the body weight.
Right.
Or the gravity, the treadmills, guys.
Yeah.
They offset your weight. That's what we're teaching you.
Yeah.
How to do that.
And it's amazing to me if you think about that. So I'm going to correct your injury by putting you in a pool or by unweighting you as you run. And then I'm going to let you go out there and reach and do high knees and butt kicks.
Right.
Okay. So on that note, guys, please stop doing high knees and butt kicks. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of comments and a lot of feedback on what your coach told you. And I'm sorry, but that's for another conversation of why they're wrong. But we hope to see you next week. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.